Okay. Hello, are we live? Is the question that we always ask. Are we live? We have to check. Hello, Habibis, Habitis, and Habib and Bees. Welcome back to Exchange after a week of hiatus. We were just tired, to be honest. Everybody's tired, and yeah. So, assuming that we're live,
We're live.
yes, we're
Confirmed.
live. Okay. We have so much to talk about. We're gonna talk about the ceasefire, and some people were telling me like, yeah, why are you not saying that Trump made the ceasefire happen? We'll get to that. We're gonna talk about conditions in Gaza after the stop, after stopping of like the death through bombs. Yet the continuation of the like the numbers are still going up because some people, some bodies are being discovered. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the bombing in Jenin and what it has to do with the ceasefire deal in the first place, um, and what it means for Palestinians in the West Bank. We're gonna talk about the role of the Palestinian Authority. Again, as we always say, as an arm, extended arm of the occupation. We'll let you in on why.
We're hearing
Yeah.
our voices are echoing, FYI.
No, our voice is echoing. Why?
It's because we started. We were live it went too well.
Wait, are we echoing now? Wait, no. Okay, now we shouldn't be echoing. Rachel, can you say something?
Yeah, I'm saying something.
Okay, yeah. And now we should not be echoing. Uh, I thought we solved this problem. I just forgot to press mute on the other things. Again, classic boomer behavior. Oh, and also one thing we're going to talk about is Germany's insane behavior and the rise of fascism in Germany and anti-fascist movement and how it's weird. Um, yeah, I think we start off with that, to be honest, since we
I
have
think
we
there's
have
a lot
elections.
there's a lot to cover there. We can talk about about voting, because that's been a hot topic. Is how do we affect change, and is it even worth talking about voting? And we have thoughts that we want to offer there. But to okay, you want to start there and kind of work backwards, starting from our context and working to the broader one.
Yeah, we just do that.
Sure.
I don't know who you voting for.
Who am I voting for? I can't vote for anyone. There's no
See,
citizenship for
me
me
too,
because
me too.
I know. Well, there's no citizenship for me because the Nazis destroyed the documentation that would have made it possible for me to get citizenship. And Germany loves Jews until they have to give them citizenship or until they don't agree with them. So I'm fucked. And you don't, no
Yeah,
one
I mean,
wants you to be.
yeah, I mean, Germany loves Jews, as in, please go to Palestine, do settler colonialism, don't be here. That's how. Yeah, and I can't vote, but thank you, people, for asking these very important questions to the exactly to the people who can't vote.
As a
Yeah.
result, we have many opinions, and
Oh yeah, you're not gonna
we're
like
going to
our
give them
opinions.
to you.
We're not.
No, but
So okay, let's start off. Who would you vote for if you could vote? If you were considered a citizen here, who would you vote for?
is that a question to me, or are we asking
Yeah.
people who are watching?
No, I'm asking you. I can't hear people.
Okay. I would vote for Mera 25 because they are the only party that doesn't stand for genocide. I don't have any illusions as to what they're doing or their, ability to impact anything on a parliamentary level. I mean, I know a lot of people who are involved and like organizing as part of Mera who I really like and respect. But I have absolutely no illusions around parliamentary politics, and I think the time spent sitting and talking and reviewing and who you're going to vote for and how do we vote for, and as if it's something that's really going to like make any kind of difference.
Yeah.
I think it's a complete waste of time. So sitting around and talking about this, if we can get two people from Die Linke who are only marginally less committed to genocide than the two people who would have otherwise been there from the CDU, like, I don't really think it makes much of a fuck of a difference. And I think people who think that it does are kind of kidding themselves. Or if you want to vote for Die Linke because you think it'll strategically make a little bit of sense to have a few people potentially, if they even get on, get into the Bundestag, which is not even likely, who aren't AfD or aren't CDU, then just do it and stop talking about it. Like, this is kind of where I'm at. I'm really like, who is actually wasting time talking about this as if it's going to make a difference? Organize an actual, like, anti-fascist movement. I was going to say militant, but I'm just saying that as if, like,
No, no,
I'm kidding.
no
Obviously, I'm
militancy.
kidding.
Yes,
There's
yes.
no militants in Germany. Oh my God.
Everything we say here,
Organize an actual anti-fascist movement that isn't committed to genocide, and then we can talk about anything parliamentary. But as long as that doesn't exist, then spending this time preoccupied with Die Linke, a party which is literally, like, fundamentally, they have supported the genocide. I just don't care what they're doing. Like, it just doesn't make that much of a difference.
okay.
The
I'm
leftists are
gonna
gonna drag me.
Yeah.
Like,
Hey, listen, I'm already starting the dragging process. So if I could vote, I would vote for the Linke. I don't have any illusions that Mirafin 25 is gonna have any chance in parliament. It's not gonna exist. So um Die Linke is the party that might get the 5% and might get some seats and some shit. Um, I do have a lot of issues with the Linke. Like their organizing as anti-fascist is inherently racist. They even kicked out Ramzi. They kicked Ramzi out of the party because he is pro-Palestine or because he is Palestinian. Debatable which is which. Um,
different degrees of racism. I think they're
yeah,
capable of all of
yeah.
them.
So um, yeah, but again, it's not um, it's not gonna do anything. I do not think that these kinds of minimal impact voting or what lesser evil voting style is gonna get us anywhere. We have people like, okay, another party that I would not vote for, even though they have the best position on Palestine, is Zara Wagenknecht, the BSV.
Yeah, of
They
course,
have a
of course
good
not.
position on Palestine because they have Michael Ludas, the guy who knows what he's talking about. Um, the issue is they are also racist. Like at the same time, they're like, "Hey, listen, these Palestinians, we need to save them in their country, just not here. Please don't be here. Everybody who's migrant." So just inherently racist parties everywhere, all in all, almost all the major parties in Germany are racist. And the fact that we have like, so at first it was just the AfD saying, oh, wir müssen abschieben, we have to go to deport people. And now we have the Green, we have the SPD, the socialist, supposedly socialist party in Germany. We have all of
CDU.
these
Yeah.
supposedly center left parties now capitulating to racist rhetoric of the AfD. And what happens is the entire spectrum of left right gets pushed to the right. Like you're not winning. You cannot win against you cannot win against racists by accepting some of their racism. It's stupid.
No, but this is where I think the conversation, it's really important to distinguish, um, not just between the fact that, um, or rather, it's important to emphasize that, yes, I think all of us in these circles know that it's not enough to vote and that we need to go and organize elsewhere. But that's like, if we are stopping there and not insisting on that much more broadly, then we're failing. And so anyway, I'm trying to articulate what I have in mind is what happened in France and the fact that they literally
Mm.
formed a united front and they had all of these leftist parties cooperate and collaborate and form a coalition in order to push the fascists out of government. There's an actual left there who understand strategic parliamentary strategies as like risk or rather like harm reduction, while at the same time they're also doing anti-fascist work elsewhere. As long as we don't have a concentrated group of people doing actual anti-fascist work that isn't just drowning in Zionism, it's kind of irrelevant for the few people on our spectrum and our leftist circles to be sitting and talking about parliamentary strategies that ultimately aren't going to make a difference anyway. Like that's kind of how many votes can we mobilize as the left to vote for Die Linke that are really going to make a difference, where our time, even sitting and talking about that, wouldn't be better spent mobilizing an actual anti-fascist movement. And I say this also with a view to the enormous amount of success mobilizing against the AfD Parteitag a few weeks ago in Riesa. Like, I think people, they had 20,000 anti-fascists on the streets. Yeah, a lot of them were Zionists, which is a shit show and a bit pathetic, very pathetic. But ultimately, it was focusing on the fact that that was what needed to be done in order to start to build this movement, not sit around and talk about leftist about parliamentary politics.
Okay, I agree. Since I got the message, you're like, oh, we shouldn't be wasting our time talking about this shit, which is something I also agree with. You
In
can
that
just
spirit, we want to move on to our next topic.
we move on to our next topic before we get roasted even more by Rachel and her unwillingness to talk about these
Oh, the
well
shade.
not very significant things. Okay, we're gonna
Yeah,
have
neither of us are ever going to vote here. They're not giving either of us
yeah,
citizenship.
yeah.
It is
This
far
is this
over.
is just a waste of time for us at least because we can literally cannot vote. So yeah, I want to move on to, since we're still talking about Germany. Et voila. So Francesca Albanese, I'm gonna try to see if the audio is good.
Yes, I'm here. Boomer coded.
Can people hear me now? Maybe. Yeah, okay. So people can hear me and they can hear you. And they can also see you in the corner. So uh, we have Francesca Albanese, a very like a very significant person, I would say, as a as a UN special rapporteur. She is kind of a big deal in the human rights field, and she had a talk and she had a talk in Munich that was cancelled um, at university, and this fits in a series of canceling academics who are very well versed in the conversation around Palestine, and they are being cancelled by universities. They're being cancelled by institutions because of their like she's not even pro-Palestine. Her job is to be a UN rapporteur, to literally report on the conditions, and the conditions are apartheid. Not very shocking. She's not even allowed to report on this in the context of university because yeah.
I think this is also, and this was another thing that we wanted to discuss, and this is a really, really powerful lead in, because we're seeing more and more as the mask falls more and more that, as we knew and as we've been saying the whole time, but is now becoming increasingly clear, that the Palestine movement and the repression of Palestine solidarity was just the predecessor to broader kind of transparency around authoritarianism and ultimately the lead up to fascism and actual fascist tactics, which is being introduced with the actual fascist party, the AfD, coming into power. So we're seeing all of this. It's just coming so much more out into the open. And that is why, again, as we've been saying all along, but it's becoming a little bit easier to prove now and to actually defend the fight for Palestinian liberation. And the Palestine Solidarity Movement is the anti-fascism movement. It is the fight against fascism. And we knew that because we've already seen the fascists and the Israeli and the Zionists in historic Palestine. We already know that that's the nature of a settler colonial project, again, that dictates genocide as its strategy and as its world order. But now we are literally seeing this, more and more. I mean, it's only scaling up, which is why I think it is so deeply important to tie these fights together. The Palestine Solidarity Movement has been excluded from anti-fascist demos. They've been thrown out by the cops and by politicians, but also by demonstrators.
Yeah.
And that was horrible. And I don't know if you were, I was there for that. It was all really, really bad. But now the conversation is a little bit different. And as people who are active in the Palestine Solidarity Movement and are also in Germany, where the fight against fascism is becoming more and more prevalent and more crucial than ever, this argumentation is actually a little bit easier to dig into and to emphasize to people in a way that they will understand, because on a base level, even without getting into the quote unquote politics of genocide and of Zionism, look at
Yeah.
the repression of the Palestine Solidarity Movement, look at the repression of the anti-fascism movement in Germany, and the way that cops have absolutely no boundaries, the way that it is just exponential. And people are starting to actually have to understand that they're next.
Yeah, but so okay, this is like it's a very weird thing. The two things I wanna talk about, like how the normal, let's say, like the bürgerliche Partei, like the mainstream parties, and that are now in power, excuse fascist behavior, while at the same time um dig for small details to kind of cancel pro-Palestine activists, pro-Palestine voices. The comparison here is um, Greta Thunberg was
Mm.
canceled because she held like voices for Gaza, and in the background there was a small octopus that people with the autism, that neurodivergent people use to show their mood, and this was considered. She was called anti-Semitic because of this, but we have Elon Musk literally doing the Hitler salute. Literally, he's Sieg Heil, like straight up. And we
And he
have,
has other people doing it too, and then they're calling it the Elon Musk salute now.
yeah, oh my god, oh my god. And the thing is, like, our guys are like the what's his name, Olaf Scholz and stuff. They did not die what die konnten das nicht einordnen. Die wollten das nicht einordnen, which means they did not want to uh, say that the Hitler salute is anti-Semitic. Like, it's so this is the comparison
They
is.
wouldn't contextualize it, they wouldn't validate it.
Yeah. And also,
Yeah.
regarding Riza, we've seen police violence in Riza. We had I think there was a person that where the cops tried to push the dogs to bite this person. I think we've seen this video. And the thing is, um, we had people saying, yeah, this is the first time we've seen German police be this brutal. And my only comment is, where the fuck have you been for the past 15 months? For the past 15 months, German police, specifically in Berlin, like very, very specifically in Berlin, have been literally beating people unconscious. They broke a guy's back. They broke his back, literally broke
They
his
gave a
back.
guy a heart attack, and then he lost his hearing because he almost died.
Yeah. So um, the fact that you do not see the brutality that cops use on us, but only see it when it's the movement that you support, is very telling on you, because it means that you do not see the people in the pro-Palestine movement as people, and you only see the people doing the in Riza, which many of them are in the pro-Palestine movement, by the way. You only see them as humans when they participate in the thing that you support, which is
And by
very,
the
very
it's
weird.
racist is what it
Yeah,
is.
it is.
I mean, ultimately it's racist because you cherry pick the cause that impacts you and not the ones that don't. But I think this is kind of, and I don't, okay, maybe I don't need to say I don't mean this in a sectarian way. Like, obviously I don't, but I think this is where, even if you end up with 20,000 people in an anti-fascist movement who are going to mobilize against the AfD, it is still our job to hold them accountable for not having been there in the Palestine Solidarity movement and continuing to not be there. This needs
Yeah,
to be a fight, not to alienate people further, but to say, I see what you're doing here. We absolutely must align on this, and you have to catch up. Like, you have to radicalize, because you
yeah,
aren't truly anti-fascist if you aren't standing against Zionism and if you aren't fighting for Palestine. And that will
yeah.
continue to be the case, of
I mean,
course.
yeah, this is like the Omas gegen Rechts thing, where they mobilize so well against the AfD, but at the same time they demonstrate in pro-Israel demonstrations, like they organize pro-Israel.
They cheer on police violence against us.
Yeah, yeah. This is the fascists are are a very, very German phenomenon, like the Antifa with the Israeli flag. You guys missed a few lessons in anti-fascism. I think anti-fascism 101, they were like, oh yeah, they missed the lessons where uh, it's not anti-fascist to support a settler colonial state that has literal self-proclaimed homophobic fascists in it, in the government. Smotrich, he literally said this about himself. So very, I don't know. Yeah,
They missed the
it's
lesson for sure.
yeah, they missed it. They were
I don't
not
know.
there.
They were sick that day.
They were
I
sick
don't know.
that
I just
day.
made a video about this, but I'll say this,
Yeah,
maybe
please.
just in the context of like Holocaust Remembrance Day, because this has been my experience, because I've been doing very offline campaigns, which I can also recommend. Like, get your activism offline, meet in community spaces, and start campaigns. But part of the focus around Holocaust Remembrance Day every year, and last year as well, but this year, for a lot of reasons it was particularly pronounced, is the instrumentalization of the Holocaust, the exceptionalization of the Holocaust, and pointing to Jewish victimhood as being uh, the ultimate point. And
And also the only. That's
And the only,
yeah.
exactly. So part of it is hyper focusing on the Nazi genocide, let's say, and not other genocides before or since, and also as Jews as the only victims of the Holocaust, where of course that wasn't the case. We know that's not the case, and this is, I mean, it's structured and it's formulated this way. These are the narratives because it pushes the capital focused settler colonial um, like endeavors of Israel and what the West is looking to accomplish in that region. That is the use they have for the Nazi genocide.
It
So today I
legitimizes it.
saw
Yeah.
it legitimizes it, and the fact that anyone has any idea that this is a matter of like memory, culture, or guilt just becomes increasingly more absurd. Not that people think that. I mean, they're socialized that way. I understand that, but like that whole concept becomes increasingly absurd. The more you look at it, and the more you understand how I mean, it's so transparent. So today I saw a sticker. It was something like Erinnerung an Auschwitz bedeutet Solidarität mit Israel. Commemorating Auschwitz necessitates solidarity with Israel. And that, to me, well, first of all, it's so dark. I mean, it is so ugly. It also, on a personal level, let's just say, like, I'm living here, I can't get citizenship because they hate me, and also I don't have documentation because the Nazis burned it and the burden of proof is on me. I'm walking around, I'm seeing this, and I'm like, you disgusting spawn of Nazis. How
Yeah.
dare you? How dare you desecrate the memory of victims of genocide, not just of the Nazi genocide and not just Jews in the Nazi genocide, but every victim of a genocide by instrumentalizing and co-opting and owning the atrocities that you committed in the Holocaust in order to justify committing a genocide even harder because it's Jews. So you repurposed your Jews, you shuffled people around a little bit. Let's genocide even harder. It's so dark, but it's also becoming more and more extreme. And this occurred to me today when I made this little video. It's desperate. It also is desperate. And we're in this state of there have been wins. And of course, the wins have been largely due to the resistance. But also, we do have a mass movement. We do
Yeah.
that has influenced narratives and social consciousness all over the world in the West, very much outside of just the region. And as a result, the propaganda really is slipping away from them and they are becoming more desperate. And again, the more desperate that they become, the more shameless they become, and the easier it is to identify their lies as lies.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like you said, it's so disgusting. Like on so many levels, it is so fucking disgusting to use um to use a genocide you committed to legitimize a genocide by other people. It's it's a very weird dynamic that happens in Germany. But I think part of the reason why you said like the it's like an exceptionalist there it's an exclusionary, only
Yeah.
Jews are victims and the ultimate victims, which means that the victimhood of Jewish people in Europe has been transferred to a settler colonial state. So you're saying you're equating victims and survivors of the Holocaust to a state that is committing genocide as we speak. It's beyond reason. It is evil. Like it is straight up evil. The Yeah,
It is, it's
it's
straight
very
up
weird.
evil. And for me, like, this is kind of funny because I really do get into these like blind rages and it's righteous rage, absolutely. But the angrier I get, the more sarcastic and I get, and also the darker the sarcasm becomes to the point where I'm really literally like, these people, if they had the opportunity, would have gone back to 1945. They would have dragged my ancestors out of the gas chambers, a minute or two before they suffocated them to death, to say, hey, is it okay in 80 years? We're just going to use you. As long as people who are related to you or identify similarly to you, we're just going to let them genocide. How do you feel about that?
Yeah,
They would have loved it. They would have gotten off on it. This is
yeah,
this genocide circle jerk that we see in
yeah,
Germany all the time. And it's like, I'm so angry and I'm so sarcastic about it because it's that dark. It's literally that dark.
yeah. It's a prop. It's like a prop, like using the victimhood of Jewish people as a prop to legitimize genocide. It is disgusting. Like there is
Which is
no
also
other way.
why, like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm interrupting you.
No, no, you go,
Yeah,
you
this is
go.
also just why I get into a rage at Jewish people who don't open their mouth because look at the responsibility you have. Like, how dare you sit silent? How dare your politics and your orientation in the world not dictate that you stand up and throw your entire body into this cause? Anything less is such a deep failure.
Yeah,
It's really, really shameful.
yeah. Um, a very good segue. Speaking of big failures, we're gonna move to Jenin, where the Palestinian Authority, the big failure, has been not only has been silent, but has been um, actively arresting people, doing operations where they go in. They can't arrest everybody because they still are having like they still have like the civil law thing. And what they do is they just gather information on everybody. They go out and then they give this information to the occupation, and the occupation arrests people under military rule, military law, because Palestinians under occupation do not have normal due process rights. What gets done with them is they just get taken to fucking torture camps like State Iman or other torture camps, and their families don't even need to hear where they are. Um, we have first off the ceasefire. It's been like 2 weeks now, and
Yes.
yeah, it's been exactly 2 weeks, I think. And
Mm.
yeah, and right now we have the official number of martyrs, of people killed through because of the Israeli genocide in Gaza. Uh, the number of people who reached hospitals and died there is more than 61,709. This is according to the media office right now in Gaza. Um, and the number will continue to rise, either due to the lack of ability to treat patients, or the fact that 80% of Gaza's buildings have been completely destroyed, which means people are now still living in tents in conditions that are inhumane. Inhumane. And if this continues, more diseases will come up again, like we've had, like with polio and other diseases. We will have this, the transmitted diseases in a population of 2 million trapped in. I don't even want to call it an open air prison, because uh, people in prison might have done crimes. Like, there is a possibility that they have done crimes. This is a literal ghetto.
Yeah, yeah, it's a
Yeah,
ghetto. Yeah, it's a ghetto.
it's a
Yeah.
literal ghetto. It's just straight up a ghetto. They do not. Their only crime was being born Palestinian. Um, yeah.
I think it's
So
also, sorry, yeah.
yeah. So that I was just gonna move to the bombing of Jenin, since
Yeah, I know we're already like halfway through, but
that's it.
I just want to quickly say, because a couple of our friends have been returning to the north, and
Mhm.
I just want to call I just want to take a minute to call attention to the fact that, first of all, this was the biggest mass return of Palestinians ethnically cleansed from their lands in all of history, because the ethnic cleansing that has taken place has been permanent. I mean, the Nakba was
It's the
the
first.
mass
It's the first
displacement,
mass. It's literally the first mass return, I think. The
mass
first and
return,
biggest. Yeah.
300,000. Exactly, which was a massive victory by the resistance, making that possible. 300,000 people returning to the north. But I just want to also, so there's that kind of sense of victory, which we attribute in our respect to the resistance. Um, in the first couple weeks, the people returning to the north were not allowed to go by car. And we read this maybe, and we kind of had a sense of what it was like. They had to walk. They had to walk. My friends were walking. Omar walked like 28 miles, like round trip. Marah just like went and whatever it was, like was it
13
28 miles?
kilometers.
Something. 13 kilo. Was it 13? Maybe I'm exaggerating it. Anyway, it was or maybe I'm thinking about it in miles. Kilometers and kilometers, 6, 7, 8 hours of walking to get back,
Yeah.
dragging their stuff, leaving their stuff behind, feet aching, having to carry water and sustenance. I mean, there's there's a dehumanization in that which continues in such a profound way despite the ceasefire. And
Yeah.
this is part of our responsibility to recognize this, that the ceasefire as a development was of course what we were fighting for, but this was the problem with people who just sat around and only demanded the ceasefire. Is what about the day after the ceasefire? Our friends were walking until their feet were bleeding.
Yeah.
And now, and by the way, then they've reached their homes, which have been completely destroyed. There are no bathrooms. So they're sitting there. All the windows are broken down. All the walls are broken down. If the structures are even still standing, the reconstruction required now is indescribable. I mean,
Yeah, I think it's definitely it's gonna take years.
yeah.
People have lost everything, and I'm not even talking like belongings or even house is an insane, like, just not having a safe space, not having a place to sleep where you can close the window just to not get cold, like as minimal as this sounds, this is a literal, like, the dehumanization has been going on, and the fact that the ceasefire happened is only the first step. The if you want, like, if we want Palestinians to, and they are regaining their humanity, they do not need us to give them their humanity back. They show us every day, they teach us humanity. We've seen people cook for everybody as a celebration. We've seen dances. We've seen people and children just being happy that they can sleep at night without the sound of bombs. And it's just very surreal to think of an 8-year-old that is now used to that can sleep through and is now used to the sound of bombs. You do not you do not see these people as humans. You cannot see these people as humans and continue to do this, to continue to behave this way, continue to send them crumbs, like the fact that aid is coming in is not, it is something to be celebrated. You just need to ask yourself, why is aid needed? Because the entire agricultural system, the lands have been completely destroyed. We've seen Israeli bulldozers, who also, by the way, have connections to German universities during their production, have completely destroyed houses. They have completely destroyed fields where crops used to, where wheat used to be grown. So you are cutting these people, Palestinians in Gaza, are now so reliant on aid, which, by the way, even before the beginning of the genocide, a lot of them were reliant on aid, more than 50%. And now you have very, very, like, the entire population, 2 million people reliant on aid. And
But by the way, this is another piece on the aid. First of all, I've heard from our friends in the north. There's no aid. The aid is not flowing through to the north. It's been 2 weeks. The second thing is okay, great. So they have however many hundreds of trucks full of aid coming in to a place that has been battered and genocided for 15 months. It's not going to be enough. Of course, it's not going to be enough
yeah,
for people who were starved. Like people, even people in like the quote unquote best of circumstances lost kilos and kilos because they didn't have any food. So making up for that is not humanity, and it's not a process of humanization. It's the bare minimum. And this, I think, is going to be one of the key focuses for people in now organizing, where there's a tiny, let's say, a tiny, tiny bit more room to organize because we aren't in this desperate grind of like, we have to stop the genocide at any, no matter what. Now this needs to be the focus of getting in what needs to be gotten in on that base level of human necessity,
Yeah.
and then demanding more.
Yeah. Yeah. Demanding more, demanding uh, that the conditions do not require aid, that these people do not are not dependent on aid, which would include that the settler colonial state removes the blockade that has been enforced on Gaza for this past 17 years now.
Mm,
No, even more,
more now,
18
right?
years.
Like,
It's
yeah,
2005.
right.
2005 is crazy. Math is
20 years
19
ago.
years. Yeah.
It's
50,
2025 right
it's
now.
20 years. Holy shit. Yeah.
Oh my
20
God,
years.
it's 20 years.
So, just for the people who think that it was all unprovoked,
No, wait, 2007, not 2005. So
2007,
18,
2005
18 years, 18.
was yeah, 18 years.
Yeah,
Not a very huge difference. It's not a very huge difference. It's still insane that there are people right now who are allowed to drive that have never seen Gaza, that have never experienced Gaza without a blockade.
yeah.
It's crazy. Um, yeah, I want to just say something about Trump and ceasefire. I've been getting some people telling me like, yeah, why we should give Trump props for getting the ceasefire done. Sure, you want to give him props. Wow, give him props for this. I also give him credit for the deportation of 1,000 migrants a day. The
Yeah.
the the fact that ICE, what was it, enforcement, whatever,
Immigration agency.
immigration
Yeah, yeah.
and custom enforcement is now literally doing raids in the middle of Chicago. So yeah, you want to give him credit for using the lever that Joe Biden has refused to use since the beginning of the genocide. Yeah, the thing is, what this ceasefire deal entails, as like on the level of the U.S. and Israel, is that Trump very likely gave Netanyahu the green light to do ethnic cleansing in the West Bank if he stops bombing Gaza. And this is now what we're seeing. In Jenin, there were 20 residential houses in the refugee camp of Jenin were completely destroyed. Now the question is, why is there a refugee camp for Palestinians in Palestine? And this question, to answer this question, you need to acknowledge that this that Israel is a settler colonial state, that these people who are in the refugee camps in Jenin come originally from Haifa, they come originally from Jaffa, they come originally. These people were ethnically cleansed in 1948 and now are living in refugee camps for the past 76 years. The like for this is what bothers me about like media. They're like, yeah, in the Jenin refugee camp, and they just gloss over it. Why is there a fucking refugee camp there? Just give me
The
like,
first time, this is such a key point. I just want to, I know that you're specifically calling attention to this. I want to like draw it in more and emphasize this even more. The first time that I processed this, which is embarrassingly not even really that long ago because I'm pretty newly politicized, all things considered, like when I first started realizing, why is there a refugee camp for Palestinians in Palestine? If you actually trace that back throughout history and process how unbelievably sick that is,
yeah,
then like that alone should be enough to radicalize you. That
yeah,
alone is something crucial in understanding the whole dynamic of this
yeah.
situation.
But that's my problem. That's my issue with these normie media outlets that just like they just gloss over it as if it's something normal, like as if it's okay to have a refugee camp for Palestinians in Palestine. it's a very like, I don't know. I would like for my media outlets to let me know, like, yes, the say it's the Jenin refugee camp. Be as fucking non-biased, as fucking biased as you want towards Israel. Just let me know why is there a refugee camp. Just say, oh, a refugee camp in the Jenin refugee camp for Palestinians who were uh, who left. You can just say who left in 1948. Like, it's it's weird. It's a weird thing to just gloss over, and this is not just Germany, it's everywhere. It's all kinds of media,
And I
even
think,
New York Times, and like the supposedly non-biased outlets. It's weird. It's disingenuous, and
yeah.
like at worst it's disingenuous, at best it's just ignorant.
And I think, but this is also where what we're like, I think, I don't know, I just think you've stumbled on something like enormously important also for everyone, not just for media and in what they demand of their media, but in our own argumentation. Find little facts like this that illustrate the whole story in a few words, because once you present this to someone and say, hey, wait, here's an opportunity for you to think a little bit more, like, this is an opportunity for them to realize how unbelievably fucked up this is. And
Yeah,
there are a wealth of things like this, of concepts like this, because the whole thing is so sick.
yeah,
So if you actually introduce little concepts like this that people likely haven't heard before, aren't familiar with, that's actually an opportunity to spread this knowledge to your circles.
yeah. Like, we don't have to look far to go search for arguments. It's very like, it's very self-evident. We have the truth on our side. We like just and first off, the act of return to the north is an immense win and is an insane act of resistance. This is what resistance against settler colonial states look like. Um, and it's gotten so many, like, there are so many Native Americans and uh, native first people in Australia who saw this, and they're like, oh my god, this is how it should be. This is how it should be. People should be allowed to go back to their homes, and not just these homes, to all of their homes. This is
It's
we're
huge.
listen, yeah, we're at the end. Like, listen, we are in the final stages of um we're witnessing the collapse of the rule based order thing that Germany thinks it has, with the rise of the AfD and rise of right parties like the CDU, who are just straight up very, very right. And in the US, we are seeing the fall of the empire, um, and the like the insanely fascist what these deportations mean. Oh, by the way, they might Trump, whoever told me, oh yeah, we should give him props. Trump is gonna send migrants to Guantanamo. They built camps, not in the prison, next to the prison. They built camps for migrants. Now the issue is, what will happen when there is no room left for migrants? We're gonna start disappearing. Are we heading towards like in the beginning, oh no, no, we don't want to kill them, we just want to move them, and then it's so full, the prisons are so full, we're gonna have to reduce the numbers. This We are in the
Of
beginning. We're
course.
Yeah, we're witnessing the beginning of um of the superpower, the world's superpower is collapsing, and through its collapse, it has two options, as capitalism always will do. And at the end stage of capitalism, we have two options: either we make change, or we are faced with fascism, um, that will most likely burn so much with it on its way to collapsing.
This
And
is also what
anybody,
we're seeing. Sorry, keep going, keep going.
yeah, and anybody who knows anything about history and how the Nazis did their crimes here, they would see parallels right now. And we literally saw one of the guy, Elon Musk, the richest man on the planet, and he is somehow in the boat with Trump. We saw him do a Hitler salute. I don't know what more we need to understand that this is fascism.
But this is also the really important link between fascism and capitalism, and the capitalists and the way that they rely on fascists, which is something that we desperately need to understand from the cycles of history. You see it in front of your eyes, not just in the way that Trump is, by the way, literally targeting trans people. He is taking away like HRT. He's taking away health insurance. He's taking away identification. So I don't know if you read this, because this has happened in the last couple of days. My friends in the States have literally like they've had, like, trans people have had their identifications removed from them when trying to renew their passports, so they're left without identification. Then they've been like targeted for not. I mean, it's a really big nightmare. Trans people were the first people who were targeted by the actual Nazis. So
Yes,
it's not even like you need to know history that well. And if you do, and like I would say that we do to a large
to an
degree,
extent,
this
yes.
is well, okay, but like we're heavily politically active. If you're looking around and seeing this, it doesn't just have some markers. It's like it's truly happening, and we
Yeah,
feel it embodied. But what I
yeah,
wanted to say was, it's not just that we see it in front of us and the indications are crystal clear. It's the historical and theoretical in that we know because it's been written about and it's also happened, connection between capitalism and fascism, where Elon Musk is the richest man on the planet. Like, he doesn't need more money. So
yeah,
his striving for capital and for accumulation has to necessarily lead him into fascism, because what does he really want? He wants power, and he
yeah,
wants evil, and like whatever he wants. It's not about money anymore. He has all the money, and
yeah,
this is why people are hooking in with him, because this relationship between accumulation and authoritarianism.
yeah. Oh, and by the way, he did not even apologize for any of this. He just straight up doubled down and did Nazi puns.
Yeah.
This is we're like,
Oh, and by the way, Trump is starting. He literally just passed that he's going to deport people who were at Palestine solidarity protests, not who
yeah,
got charged, not who anything, but people who were literally at demonstrations.
yeah,
So if you're going by the fascist playbook, restricting the left, restricting, not just restricting, but completely criminalizing and outlawing any freedom of expression or like leftist political expression, it's happening. It's right now.
yeah. Uh,
Anyway, I know we were
I
talking
kind
about
of
that.
wished for a funnier fascist, like
I know. I know.
Charlie Chaplin style. Like Hitler, you can make fun of Hitler for looking ridiculous.
I know. Okay,
Elon
you can
Musk,
make fun of Trump for looking ridiculous.
I mean, yeah, but no, but also, yeah, I don't know. Elon Musk doing puns is like the least funny thing I've ever seen ever. And
He's like the most charmless, but
I
he's
used
just
to
like
watch SNL,
charmless.
by the way.
I know, but he's just like charmless, dumb, and evil. It's like
Yeah,
I mean, what could you
yeah.
possibly want less? Anyway, so we're kind of coming up against the end, but I want you to talk about Janine, because this is really
Yeah.
important that we.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what's going on in Jenin? We have first 20 houses were bombed, destroyed simultaneously today in Jenin. Um, what the Palestinian Authority, the PA, has killed someone in the past. A 19-year-old, a 19-year-old kid, like I don't know, is 19, was killed by the PA in the West Bank. And the thing is, why we always say the PA is an arm of the occupation is because the PA is literally now announcing that it would like to start clashes with Hamas and other resistance factions, because the PA and Abbas specifically want to maintain the small symbolic power that they have. And the US and Israel do not want to look like they were defeated in Gaza, which they were, by the way, because in the end, Gaza is not, they did not destroy Hamas, uh, and they could not completely ethnically cleanse the north, which means they cannot do their settlements, the things that they were like. It was very creepy. I don't know. In one of the streams I watched, this Daniela Weissman, the possibly the most evil person I know I've ever seen. Like, we talk about evil. Daniela Weissman is the minister of settlement or something like this. So
Oh yeah, right.
her job is like literally to do more settler colonialism. Um, and she took children on boat rides to watch Gaza be destroyed, and which I think it's definitely this like Jugendamt, please, somebody should take these children away. And she was telling them, yeah, we're gonna live there, we're gonna live there. So um yeah, so they failed completely in this, and now what they're trying to do is they wanted the PA to take over Gaza after the end of the genocide, and this is not going to happen. The PA is now saying, "Oh yeah, yeah, no, we're ready to go murder our own people so we can maintain the small amount of power that has been given to us by our occupiers." This is like
Yeah.
the massa. Look, massa. Um, this is the house N word style. You know,
Mm.
the difference between the house N word and the field N word is that the house one wants to continue the oppression, because without it, he does not have any power. So the Uncle Toms, we have a group of Uncle Toms willing to murder their own citizens to continue to have some power. We're also, what else? I think
I just
we're,
wanted to really
yeah, you're,
quickly, because I just was pulling up this like update from the West Bank in Jenin. Yeah, this was the number. This was as of 2 hours ago, 2.5 hours ago. More than 3,400 families out of
yeah,
3,490 have been displaced from the Jenin refugee camp. Everyone has been displaced from the Jenin
everyone has
refugee
been
camp.
displaced. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
They've destroyed over 20 homes, as Karam said. And this is, by the way, not just in Jenin, it's just so extreme in Jenin. And they've murdered like a couple dozen people.
yeah,
And I mean, I don't want to miss.
also in Tul Karam, they've been attacking
Yeah,
Tul Karam.
exactly.
They've been doing raids, and this is so the somebody said
Yeah,
the
25 Palestinians have been murdered in Jenin. Yeah.
yeah, they're trying to make Jenin into Gaza. The Gazification of the West Bank is where they want to head. And like this is the thing, like what's his name, Smotrich and Ben Gvir, who are, and also Netanyahu, they say this quite very openly In Hebrew, it's just in English they say, "Oh no, no, international law, best thing ever." But in Hebrew, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna kill the families of the snakes." And this is something that was said by a minister right now. She was like, "Oh yeah, we need to destroy everything. We need to even kill their mothers because uh, so they don't make more snakes or something like this." This was,
Yeah.
by the way, the education minister. So the entire government is basically what happens when you let fascists have everything they want, all the toys, all the murder toys. Um, there's been a lot in AI. Oh, by the way, speaking of also big failures and fuck ups, the Emirates, there are Emirati companies right now investing in uh, Israeli security companies, and these companies, their primary goal is to make AI better. And I don't know if you guys know this about AI, but AI has been used to murder Palestinians, including one subsystem of AI called Where's Daddy, which which used to blow up the houses of Palestinians when the father enters the house of his family. So just a horrific war crime. It has been reported on. We can send the links, but I think you can also find it yourself. It's from Plus 972 magazine. Um, and we're also, I think we wanted to, I still want to make a video about AI and the use of AI in the genocide, and how like AI is just like any other tool that is now like literally what was being used literally not only as identification and stuff like that, which is why we boycott HP, for example, because they are the ones supplying the Israeli system, the occupation systems. It's also being used to end families, literally end families and bloodlines. So yeah. On a lighter note, we will be streaming next week. I think same time, maybe a little bit earlier,
Nice
maybe a
little,
little bit. Yeah, it's
so
either
like
same
in
time
the
or a little
middle.
bit. Yeah, same time or a little bit earlier. Anyway, just keep your Sundays free. You don't need to be doing anything. It's a Sunday. Come on, no, you're not gonna go out. You're gonna stay home and watch Karam and Rachel. Maybe also some guests talk about things, and you're gonna like it. No,
You better like it.
you
No,
better like it.
actually, I do want to say, because I think we skipped this last week because we were really tired, and then also we ended up doing a lot of editing for interviews that we're ultimately going to post. It's just we have a lot of interview footage to sift through, but we have some really, really exciting interviews coming. One is with our friend Omar, who's a poet, and I mean he's like a million different things. He can do everything in Gaza, and we're going through subtitling, so it can be available to everyone in English, and hopefully that'll be available for everyone soon. And then I have two interviews that I'm editing that I did in London. One with Stephen Kapos, who's a Hungarian anti-Zionist Jewish Holocaust survivor who has been very, very committed in the fight in the Palestine Solidarity Movement and for Palestinian liberation, as well as an interview with Selma James, who is one of the preeminent revolutionary feminists and Marxists of the 20th and 21st century. She's 94 years old. She's a dear comrade of mine, and I have a really, really exciting interview that it's just many, many hours of footage. But that's all coming up in addition to the streams as we're ramping up in 2025. So we have a lot of really, really exciting
Yeah.
things that we're really psyched to share with you.
Yeah, and we also have a new editor person. Just want to say thank you to the editor person for existing. We needed you desperately, and yeah, so many cool things are on the way. Stay tuned, and as always, free Palestine.
Free Palestine.